All right, we're back on 2022 CR 3725B, State of Texas versus Jacqueline Wallace. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Brittany Mitchell for the state.
John Koontz for Ms. Wallace.
All right. So we are, and are you Ms. Wallace? We're back. The reason why we're back is because the court was making a determination on whether or not to give you deferred adjudication, because the court heard some things from both parties that gave the court pause. Is there anything else either party would like to say to the court before I make my announcement?
Judge, just, I know you have a memory like a steel trap, so I don't need to follow up too much, but if you'll recall, there were two complainants on this case, one of which was my client's ex-boyfriend, and you were discussing with my client the passion and the rage that must have gone into her thought process, basically, in terms of why this happened. The female complainant is the one that wrote a letter to my client while she was in jail. She has forgiven my client. It sounds like she wants to move on with her life and doesn't seem particularly opposed, if at all, to my client getting the deferred. Interestingly, the complainant who is opposed is my client's ex-boyfriend, the one that was cheating on her, the one that my client was supporting, the one that never had a job, the one that has been seeking medical bills for these nebulous medical expenses that he can't provide any proof for. It's my understanding he's homeless now because he hasn't found another sugar mama, so to speak. So based upon what you've heard, the facts coming from both complainants, I think that Jacqueline is an appropriate person to get deferred. She's been in custody now for about 15 months. And she's been away from all of her children this time. It's been very difficult for her and her family. She has most certainly learned her lesson, Judge. She'll comply with any terms and conditions that the court deems appropriate. And so we would request that you place her on deferred.
All right, and I'll note that the state, you're silent, is that correct?
You're silent, Your Honor.
All right. Any issues you which to speak to, which are what you would deem questionable facts that are being presented by Ms. Wallace from last hearing, or no?
Your Honor, I believe we clarified in the PSI, there was a statement from her where she said that there was no one else involved. I did clarify that on questioning Ms. Wallace, and she did affirm again that Wanda Richmana was there and was not going to participate with her. So I don't have any other issues.
All right, so Ms. Wallace, I'm going to give you a choice. Normally I can't give people choices, but the state is silent. I can sentence you to 5 years prison. Because of the nature of the case, you would have to do half the time before you're eligible for parole, or either I can give you 9 years deferred adjudication. If at any time your deferred adjudication, if you were revoked, the court would be able to sentence you up to life in prison. So what would you prefer?
Deferred.
All right, and counsel, Ms. Claudia is saying that her medical expenses were $2,000. Any objections to that?
No.
And then I think Renee Patina is saying his expenses were $1,500.
We will object to that.
All right, state, do you have any medical?
We do not, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, this is what the court will do. Court will sentence you to 9 years deferred adjudication. There's a $1,500 fine that will be probated. Taking consideration 2022 CR 3726A. There's an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon. 200 hours of community service restitution. 40 of those hours will be waived if you provide proof of the COVID vaccination. The court is not requiring you to get the COVID vaccination, but if you do, 40 of those hours will be waived. I'm going to want intensive parenting classes. I know you've already completed it with CPS, but I'm going to want those done again, because there are decisions that should be made, and you should be thinking about that when you're taking these actions. There's to be no contact with Margie Claudio, Claudio, or Renee Patino. There's to be restitution of $2,000 to Margie Claudio. Anger management. CPS compliance if applicable. Probation, I'm gonna want the UA hotline until further notice, with testing at least once a week. Proof of employment within 30 days of release. There's to be no employment as a home healthcare provider with minors. I'm gonna want supportive, well, counsel, they're recommended intensive outpatient treatment. So I'm gonna go with their recommendation.
Okay.
Intensive outpatient treatment with probation. And there's to be sober meetings. And I'm going to want 90 sober meetings in 90 days. I'm going to want field visits 1 time per month until further notice. Probation, if you want to count the field visit as reporting, you can. And please tell them when they go do the field visits to make sure that the home is appropriate for children. Probation, is there anything else she needs? Is there anything you need from the court in order to be successful? All right, I'm showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it? Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand? All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. When you have children, your children 100% depend on you. I tell people this 1,000 times. When you have underage children, you can't just have them and put them off at Travis Park and say good luck to you. So your children depend on you. And this time that you've been in the Bexar County Jail, your children have been without you. Children do not like, and they do not understand when parents say they're going to be somewhere and they're not. The last thing you should do is let some other relationship take precedence over your children. And that's why you're here, because you let that relationship take priority over your children. And here's the other thing. When a man or somebody is doing you wrong in a relationship, don't go attacking somebody else who owes you zero loyalty, and don't go attacking anybody. What you do is you say, you know what? Either I'm going to accept that this person is treating me poorly and cheating on me, or either I'm going to cut them loose, and then you move on. You understand?
Yes,
All right. Thank you. You have a dismissal?
He's getting better, misdemeanor.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Judge. Thank
All
you
right,
for your
you're-
consideration.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All of your children are now just grown and tall. I'm like, where are the little babies? Pretty soon it's going to be quinceañera time, right?
I'm in the thick of it, but we're not doing quinceañeras.
Okay.
We're doing a non-quinceañera.
All right, court is calling 2022 CR 3725B, State versus Jacqueline Wallace. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Defendant for the state of Texas.
Defense.
Rochelle Sevilla for Ms. Wallace.
And are you Jacqueline Wallace?
ma'am.
Did you review the document entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney?
Yes.
Did you understand it?
Yes.
Are you the same Jacqueline Nicole Wallace who was placed on deferred adjudication for the offense of aggravated robbery on April 3rd, 2023 for a period of 9 years?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor, still proceeding, motions to enter adjudication of guilt, violation condition number 40. On or about the 11th day of October 2023 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant Jacqueline Nicole Wallace, the defendant there failed to comply with the instructions of the Alpha Home as directed by the head or authorized personnel of that agency, and that the defendant rejected treatment admission, violation of condition number 40.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True.
Take away all other violations.
Any objection to the waivers?
No, yes.
Do you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 40, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty and sentence you up to life in prison and up to $10,000 fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 40?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find violation of condition number 40 true. Is there a proposed agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, there's 4 years.
It's, the minimum is 5.
They have 1 minute.
Sure. Any objection to the court reviewing the previous stipulations?
No.
Oh. So what has she done since she's been on probation? Have you done anything on probation?
No, ma'am, no.
All right, so why shouldn't you want to raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Jacqueline Wallace.
All right, so why shouldn't I sentence you to life in prison? You have done nothing on probation.
Well, I don't have an answer for that. I really don't have an answer for that.
All right, because I'm not inclined to give you the minimum because you haven't done anything on probation.
Right, I understand that.
All right. The court is finding violation of condition number 40 true. The court is going to sentence you to 10 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's an affirmative finding of the deadly weapon. There's to be no contact with the complainants. Probation, was there any restitution that was owed?
Amount with $2,000. That we to Margie Claudio,
Mhm.
and none of that has been paid.
All right. There's to be restitution to Margie. You say Claudio
Yes, Judge.
in the amount of $2,000. And there's to be no contact with Margie, Marie Claudio, and Renee Pantino. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes,
All right, do you have a limited right to appeal? And that right to appeal is as it relates to the allegations in the motion, not the fact that you were on deferred adjudication. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.